Welcome to a mind-bending mystery. Dr. Shiki Magata, a genius programmer, is found dead under impossible circumstances on a remote island. Saikawa, a chill professor, and his curious student Mo are thrown into a wild puzzle as they uncover twisted secrets about Magata's past. Before we begin the story, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and smash that thumbs up. Let's get into this. This guy is scribbling in his diary, totally caught up with thoughts about a woman who's clearly got him hooked. He's all about her, writing how life was hell for her and how she carried that weight. While he's lost in his writing, there's this woman sitting by the seashore looking like she's over it. Life for her always felt like some heavy baggage she couldn't drop. The scene flips to a kid finishing up a sketch, probably trying to make something meaningful out of his broke little tools. The butler Sawano strolls in, all proper, and signals to a girl that it's time to bounce. She casually gets up, checks herself in the mirror, and admires her look. She's got that pretty vibe, but her legs stand out in a wild way. One is white and the other black, like some abstract art piece. After fixing up her look, she heads to the garage, grabs her car, and takes off. She shows up at Saikawa's place and notices how drained he looks. It's painfully obvious with the soda can he's got nearby, a dead giveaway for when he's too tired to deal with anything. She starts brewing coffee, taking in his sloppy elephant t-shirt and wondering how he even pulls off such ridiculous style. He gives off that vibe of someone with too much going on inside, carrying around big thoughts about identity and purpose, always running on low energy but forcing himself to keep going. Without a pause, she makes it clear she's ready for something more, hinting at him to step it up and take her out. He brushes it off like he's too much of a loner to handle the effort, dragging the whole moment back into his messy world of half-kept promises. Just then, Hamanaka walks in asking Saikawa to take a look at his computer, since it is acting weird. After Saikawa leaves, Mo begins to look around. At last, she takes place in front of a computer screen where she notices the name of Dr. Magata mentioned. This immediately triggers a flashback when Mo got a chance to talk with Magata. During their conversation, Magata tells Mo that her favorite number is 7 because it is the only lonely number. As their conversation progresses, Magata questions Mo if she was asked by Saikawa to come and visit. But Mo explains that she has only decided to visit because she is interested in her. Moreover, Magata then asks Mo if she is attracted towards Saikawa. In response, Mo provides a completely irrelevant answer, prompting Magata to ask the question again. This time, Mo confesses that she is interested in Saikawa. Back in the present, a girl walks in hoping to meet Saikawa. However, Mo tells her that he will be back soon. The girl then recognizes Mo as she is the only one that Saikawa talks about all the time. She then introduces herself as Gido Setsuko. Gido then hands her over the handbag that she brought and asks Mo to give it to Saikawa and leaves. Soon, Saikawa returns, prompting Mo to tell him that he had a visitor. Clearly jealous of Gido, Mo tries to hide it as much as she can, but to no avail. As Saikawa tries to talk with Mo, he notices that she is angry and decides to make a joke to lighten the mood. Shortly after, he reminds Mo to say the thing that she wanted to say. Walking slowly toward him, Mo reveals to Saikawa that visited Magata Labs. All of a sudden, the cold Saikawa becomes interested in the conversation. Mo explains to Saikawa that she knew who he was, causing Saikawa to give a smirk. Soon another girl, Kunieda, walks in, telling Saikawa about the issue that Hamanaka's laptop had. Hungry, Saikawa gets up and leaves after telling Mo that he is going to treat her somewhere. Jealousy already?
Are we sure this is not a rom-com?
At the cafe, Mo is straight up calling Magata a weird-ass woman, like she's low-key obsessed with how off she is. Saikawa jumps in, saying Magata's being stupid for starting to care about other people. The vibe is already weird when Hamanaka rolls in and casually pulls up a chair to join their table, like he owns the place. They keep the convo rolling about Dr. Magata, diving into all the messy details. Hamanaka, trying to sound all deep, starts talking about whether Magata's really a criminal or just misunderstood. Before anyone can really get into it, Kunieda butts in with a bombshell, casually dropping that Magata killed her own parents. Mo isn't about to let that slide and chimes in, saying she actually asked Magata about it, and the woman had the nerve to blame some doll. Mo adds that conveniently, the doll vanished right after the murders, which is all kinds of shady. Saikawa, being the science nerd he is, thinks every scientist on the planet would kill for a chance to meet Magata, because she's just that much of a genius. Mo, not one to miss a beat, throws it back at him, saying he's a genius too, but Saikawa shuts it down, saying his skills don't even compare to Magata's toenail. Mo, catching the way he's low-key fangirling over Magata, decides to stir the pot. She drops the idea of a camping trip to Hamaka Island, making the call without even asking anyone. Moreover, she sneakily mentions how she's going to meet Magata there, alone. However, Saikawa uses the worrying card and tells Mo that he will go with her to make sure that she is safe. Just like that, the group has decided for their next camping trip. We then jump into the flashback, in 1991, during winter, when Mo was entrusted to Saikawa. At that time, Mo was only 5, and she used to ask questions about life too much. She used to think too much, and ask Saikawa what happens when they die. Back in the present, we see Mo meeting up with Saikawa to leave for their camping trip. There, she tells him how there was one question that threw Magata off when she was having her interview. Turns out that during During the interview, Mo questions Magata about her motive for killing her parents. Hearing this question, Magata immediately gets defensive, but this question doesn't throw her off. Next, Mo asks her last question to Magata about who she is actually. This time, all the colors fade away from Magata's face. It is now the camping day, and Mo, along with Saikawa, arrive just in time. Saikawa immediately gets out of the car, stating that it gets very hot, but clearly he is perturbed by the conversation he and Mo had just some time ago. Just then, the butler arrives and introduces himself as Suwano, Mo's butler. A man and a wife greet him respectfully, prompting the wife to ask her husband what a butler is. She clearly seems ignorant of the basic terminologies, and the husband tells her that he is going to explain to her later. Mo then turns to the bystanders and asks if they can help unpack her luggage. While she is busy in that, the butler engages in a private conversation with Saikawa, telling him about Mo and how she is very excited to be on this trip. More so, the butler suggests that Mo's happiness might be elevated to the next level because of the fact that she is going on camping with Saikawa. However, Saikawa feels like this is a huge burden on him. After a while, the two enter the cruise ship and leave for the island. On that ship, a guy named Yamane Yukihiro approaches the two and tells them that he's from the Magata lab. Yamane further tells Saikawa that the director has asking him to show them around. Moreover, he brings it to Mo's attention how her interview with Magata was such a banger. Finding out that her interview was recorded, Mo couldn't help but hide her face in embarrassment. However, Yamane assures Mo that everyone was jealous that she got to meet Magata when she always isolates herself from others. He further reveals that for 15 years, Dr. Magata hasn't taken a step outside. They then continue their conversation about Magata, which throws off Mo to see that Saikawa is very excited to talk about her and not their trip. Later, we jump back to the interview. There, Mo asks Magata how she has kept herself inside in a room for 15 years without seeing anything natural. Magata admits she's tried everything to stop herself from going full psycho and killing anyone else. Meanwhile, back at the camping trip, Mo is chilling, getting served by Hamanaka like some queen. The cook, though, is losing his shit, pissed off that she hasn't lifted a damn finger to help. Mo brushes it off, claiming she's never held a knife in her life, like that's some kind of flex. She digs into her food, finds it bomb as hell, and casually asks who worked the magic with the flavoring. The cook, deadpan, says it's just some store-bought sauce. Over in the corner, Saikawa's doing his usual loner act, sitting by himself and looking like he's carrying the weight of the world. Mo, never one to leave well enough alone, wanders over to him. She points out the stars, all excited, but Saikawa, in true buzzkill fashion, says they're nothing special. He drops some deep-ass comment about how only people who haven't lived clean lives can really appreciate stuff like that. Mo, catching the hint, realizes he's still obsessing over Magata. Annoyed, she asks for a smoke, trying to shake off the awkwardness. Saikawa, always the rule stickler, brings up her age. Mo claps back, reminding him she's almost 20 and not some kid. Then she drops the bomb. She's heading to the lab for another round with Magata. Saikawa offers to tag along, claiming it's too dark for her to go alone. Mo, not buying his act, low-key accuses him of sticking with her just because of her name, throwing some shade right back at him. In response, Saikawa explains that he doesn't do anything that he doesn't want to outside of work hours, and this is that time. Simultaneously, we see Magata on a drive with her uncle. There, she expresses her wish to see the ocean, stating that she has never seen it in the night and drink alcohol. Back on the island, Mo comes to a halt and expresses the same thing to Saikawa. Moreover, this interaction between Mo Magata and her uncle grows a bit weird when she holds his hand, stating that she wants to do this even though she knows it's wrong. On the other hand, Mo and Saikawa make their way outside the lab door. Mo then uses a trick on Yamane to try and get inside the lab by lying that she has a headache. Soon, Yamane lets them both in. Inside, Yamane tells Mo that the director has left, which is why she heard the helicopter earlier. Just then, a cart named P1 arrives with Mo's medicine for headache. After she takes the medicine, Yamane asks the two if they would like to rest in his room for a bit. There, Yamane reveals that he is aware of Mo's trick to meet with Magata. He further tells them that he is not bothered with it because he was bored. Moreover, he tells Mo how they are unable to maintain any contact with Magata. Hearing this, Mo grows worried that Magata might have collapsed inside her room. But even if they decide to get in, the door has been locked as the systems are offline. Fortunately, Yamane receives confirmation that the servers are back on. He then proceeds to make his way to Magata's room, along with Mo and Saikawa. There, Yamane introduces these two to Mizutani and Shimada, who work there. Right after that, a guard walks out of the control room, asking Yamane if he has decided to open the door without the director's permission. He further emphasizes that no one has bothered to open this door for 15 years. The guard worries that his job might be in jeopardy if anything is to go sideways. All of a sudden, the lights begin flickering for an unknown reason, prompting another guard to come out. Stranger things, is that you?
Imagine 11 walking out of that door anytime soon.
The unusual scene is then followed by Magata's room's door opening without anyone trying to. The second layer of the door lifts up as well, and a doll is revealed to be standing in the middle with a disturbing look on her face. Yamane and others can only stand and watch this scene unfold with shock. As the doll passes beside beside Mo, she realizes that the doll is actually Magata. She quickly asks them to stop her by all means. Yamane then notices that Magata is using P1 to move forward, so he asks Deborah, the subsystem, to engage with the emergency exit for all operations. Simultaneously, Magata's uncle narrates that he always knew that there was something weird about Magata. He knew that she was trying to control his life and toy with him, but he believes that he wanted her to do it. The scene goes straight to hell as Mo catches a whiff of something foul and low-key gross. It's like death itself walked in, and she's not wrong. Saikawa is barely paying attention when Yuminaga, the doctor, strolls down the pitch-black hallway. Yamane is losing his shit and yells at Yuminaga to come over, but the guy stops in front of Magata's creepy-ass doll instead, giving it a once-over like it's the Mona Lisa. Yuminaga checks Magata's pulse, and boom, she's dead. That explains the rank smell Mo picked up. Suddenly, the lights flick back on, and Deborah's voice comes through, announcing that the system reset is done. Yamane and the crew are freaking out, trying to figure out if this was some twisted suicide, but Yuminaga isn't buying that crap. He straight up declares it's murder, pointing out that Magata's arms and legs are gone, like someone went full psycho and hacked them off. He tells the guards to lock the damn door because hell, the killer might still be in there. Yamane looks like a confused, broke loner, not getting any of it. Yuminaga spells it out. The killer's trapped inside, and they chopped up Magata after she was already dead. He suggests calling the cops, but surprise, the network is down. Shimada thinks it's a virus, but she's clueless about how it got in. Meanwhile, Saikawa's off in his own world, low-key chain-smoking, while Mo leans against his leg, zoned out. He tries to snap her out of it, but Mo's too busy soaking up the fact that he actually gives a shit. Saikawa shuts that down, saying now's not the time for happy vibes. Mo, being her usual cryptic self, brushes him off and triggers some flashback about her interview with Magata, where the real weirdness probably started. As their conversation progresses, Magata questions Mo if she was asked by Saikawa to come and visit, but Mo explains that she has only decided to visit because that she is interested in her. Moreover, Magata then asks Mo why she is attracted towards Saikawa, but Mo does not know the answer to that question either. In the present, Yuminaga suspects that it has been several days since Magata's death. Shimada, on the other hand, worries that they might all be held as suspects once the police gets here. So Yamane suggests that they wait for the director to come back in 30 minutes. But he also remembers that he is with Magata's younger sister, Miki, right now, and worries that it will be heartbreaking for her to find out that her sister is dead. Later, Mo and Saikawa engage in a conversation yet again. This time, they discuss how they are unable to hold back their laughter even though the situation is very tense right now. They believe that their emotions have been affected deeply, which is why they are unable to take this situation as seriously as others. After a while, Saikawa begins to piece together the death. Mo quickly approaches him after seeing that he is thinking a lot. Moreover, she looks like she has realized that Saikawa has figured something out regarding this case. Approaching him, Mo explains that she was able to understand because Saikawa was so lost in his thoughts that he forgot to toss off the ash from his cigarette. Lady, let the man smoke his cigarette in peace.
Don't listen to him, kids. Remember, smoking is injurious to health.
Saikawa then suspects that the killer might have escaped when they all were taken aback by the moving doll. However, Mo points to a camera and tells Saikawa that it's impossible. Making their way into the control room, Mo sees that the only place other than the main door is a small hole from where things are sent inside, but that hole isn't big enough to fit a person. Saikawa then plays the recording when Magata's dead body was coming out of the room. After seeing the footage, Saikawa abruptly leaves, prompting Mo to follow him. After a while, Mo and Saikawa discuss the various reasons Magata could have been killed. Mo explains that it might be that Magata's younger sister is involved in this murder because of the family heritage. However, Saikawa argues that's not the case since amputation of Magata's limbs and the wedding dress doesn't make sense. Just then, a guard walks in, notifying that the director has arrived. Yamane and Mo quickly make their way out to meet with the director. Miki is the first one to get out of the helicopter, who quickly goes inside. Yamane then tells the director to contact the police and inform them about this murder, followed by Mo telling him to use her name as her father is the head of the prefectural police. Later, the director's wife expresses condolences for Magata's death when she is introduced to Miki. Then, Miki is shown her sister's body. As expected, she is unable to hold back her tears. Meanwhile, Saikawa and Mo discuss how Miki and Magata really look alike. Later, Hasebi comes rushing in, informing Saikawa and others about the incident that has just taken place. Making their way to the rooftop, they witness the horrific scene of Shindo. The director's body leaned against the helicopter seat. He appears to have been stabbed. Simultaneously, Shindo narrates about her relationship with Shiki. At the same time, Shiki lays down on Shindo's lap on a Ferris wheel, while the fireworks go on in the background. Things went straight to shit after the director's death. Just minutes ago, he was alive, doing his thing, and now he's lying there with a knife in his back. The whole group's in chaos, stumbling over what the hell just happened. Mo storms into the helicopter to check for a lifeline, only to find the damn radio smashed to pieces by the killer. No cops, no backup, just a whole lot of stuck with nowhere to go. Grossed out and pissed, Mo heads back to Saikawa. She lays it out plain and simple. The director couldn't have stabbed himself like that. Someone took him out, no doubt. doubt about it. And yeah, the killer is definitely still lurking around, low-key playing mind games. Shimada tries to get her shit together, pulling up records to see who messed with the roof door. Yuminaga, ever the awkward doctor, strolls in, casually mentioning how he dosed Miki and the director's wife with tranquilizers to calm their broken hearts. Nice, but not helpful. Meanwhile, Mo, curious and maybe a little reckless, creeps toward Magata's dead body. She's staring at her like she's trying to solve the world's biggest puzzle when Saikawa shows up out of nowhere, blocking her view. He's not about that gawking life, but Mo isn't backing down. She's dying to know why all this insane shit is happening. Shimada finally gets a lead. Turns out Yamane was the last one to open the roof door, both before and after the director met his end. Frustration hits hard, and Yamane's low-key losing it, trying to figure out how the killer pulled this off without leaving a single clue. Mo then walks in and suggests that they look inside Magata's room, as they might be able to find clues. As Yamane proceeds to open the door, Saikawa questions if there is any way for the door to be opened from inside. The guard responds that the door can be opened the same way from inside as Yamane did from outside. Getting inside the room, they immediately notice that it is unusually clean. Moreover, there is a TV, a bookshelf with no research papers there. On top of that, everything that's in this lounge looks like it is made for two people. There is even a glass room for the visitors, but Magata didn't use to get any visitors, something that bothers Mo. After looking all over the place, the only place left for them to search is Magata's bedroom. When Yamane steps forward and tries to open the door, it turns out to be locked. Mo then immediately asks all of them to be quiet since there are voices coming from inside. All of a sudden, the genre has shifted from psychological thriller to psychological horror.
Whatever it is, I have turned on my lights. I'm ready for the jump scare.
They begin to question if someone is inside, prompting the voice to ask who they are. After getting the confirmation, the door is unlocked and the guard steps forward. Steady in their positions, the guard opens the door abruptly, only to find out that the voice was coming from a robot named Michiru. Inside the bedroom, there are balloons and toy bricks that Yamane remembers sending through the mailbox. There are also stuffed animals, prompting Mo to question if she liked them, but Yamane has no idea. He then turns to Michiru and begins questioning about Magata. However, his attempts are all in vain as Michiru keeps on repeating Yamane's questions. Then, they begin to wonder how Michiru was able to unlock the door. Michiru is then asked to demonstrate that while Saikawa watches. He deduces that an infrared technology has been installed inside Michiru, which lets it emit lasers to calculate how far the door is. This helps it to easily unlock the door, but still it cannot open the door on its own. This begs the question why Magata even created such a robot. The guard then reminds everyone that they are still unable to find any clues, weapons, or even the limbs of Magata. Believing that they might find something in the trash, Saikawa asks where Magata used to put her trash out from. Going into the kitchen, they discover that there is a trash chute. Mo suspects that Magata's limbs could have been chopped and thrown into the trash chute. They then begin to connect all the pieces. Saikawa summarizes everything that has happened so far and believes that the killer has been in this room for a long time. Moreover, he calculated that it couldn't have been more than 30 minutes when the director arrived till when he was killed. This means that the killer was hiding on the rooftop and possibly might still be there. However, Saikawa believes that he can get to the bottom of this case. Saikawa is then given authority to look into this matter. On the computer, he manages to open a document named Everything Becomes F. This is a document written by Magata, but that's only known to Saikawa, and the others are ignorant about it. Inside this document, Magata mentions about her two personalities, Sasaki Suma and Kurimoto Kishio. Saikawa then mentions that these were not written by Magata, but the killer. Moreover, he wonders how the killer knows so much about Magata's different personalities. Tired, the group decides that it's time for them to have some rest since it's already past 4. Mo and Saikawa, still knee-deep in the chaos, decide to stick around and dig into this mess a bit more. The case has way too many loose ends to just walk away, but even detectives in the making need sleep. Before calling it a night, Mo gets that itch to investigate the glass room. She's got this nagging feeling and isn't about to let it slide. Inside, Mo's wheels are turning. She blurts out what's been bugging her. Why the hell Magata was so hung up on that wedding dress? Saikawa, on the other hand, can't get past that damn document. The fact that Magata wrote it herself feels off, like a twisted puzzle piece that won't fit. Mo then has a light bulb moment. The doll Magata kept going on about, it wasn't some creepy toy, it was her. Magata was the doll. Then there's this weird obsession with the number 7. Mo realizes it's not random. Magata saw 7 as her soulmate, completely alone, just like her. Saikawa chimes in about dolls, talking about how they're empty shells, just puppets for someone else's moves. The director's voice echoes, talking about how he once told Magata she wasn't normal, only for her to throw it back at him. Things shift to Magata having this eerie chat with her other personalities while in the shower. Kishio and Suma warn her to tread carefully with the director. Stepping out, Magata makes her move, pulling the director closer, asking him to cross a line he can't uncross. He's spiraling, fully aware he's sliding into a dark place he might never climb out of. Meanwhile, back in the interview, Magata throws Mo a curveball, bringing up her own parents' deaths. It's like she's low-key poking at Mo's pain, suggesting there must have been someone around to hold her together back then. Simultaneously, Akane is seen tossing and turning in her sleep, haunted by something she can't shake, her dreams clearly turning into nightmares. After, well, sharing the bed, the director starts rambling about how he didn't even show Magata half the shit he wanted to. Magata, cool as ever, brushes it off, saying they've got all the time in the world for stuff like that. She casually throws out the idea of him living alone somewhere far off. The director, being the confused idiot he is, admits that the idea of running off to some island and living a chill, normal life sounds great, but he's too damn scared. Too many people holding him back, and the thought of leaving them behind freaks him out. Magata doesn't take that well. She flips, her anger sharp enough to cut through the air. The director, realizing he's screwed up, stumbles out an apology and hugs her like a scared kid trying to fix his mess. Meanwhile, Mo jolts awake from some dream, her head spinning. She's clearly still stuck on Magata's earlier thoughts. Mo mutters something about being completely alone when her parents died, like a total loner. No one there, no hand to hold. The memory's raw. But then it's like Magata's voice is still in her head, shifting the focus, asking about some random detail. Mo remembers she was wearing a purple dress that day. Next thing, Saikawa shows up, knocking on the Mo's door like it's no big deal. He strolls in with some hot coffee, probably thinking it's a peace offering or something. Hot coffee reminds me of GTA.
I doubt there are many who would get this reference.
For sure, only the OGs will know. Meanwhile, she is busy asking dumb questions like why the coffee is always hot. Saikawa then asks Mo if she had a bad dream and asks her to tell her what happened. Mo explains that it was a dream about the day when her parents died. She further mentions about the questions that Magata asked her. Unable to hold back her tears, Mo begins weeping, asking why the people even live. In response, Saikawa reminds her that he has answered this question many times and advises Mo that she should stay strong at times like this. Suggesting that she should rest, Saikawa gets out of the room. There, he starts thinking that maybe he is the one that's confused. Just then, Yamane and the director's wife, Shindo Yumiko, arrive with a cookie bag in her hands. She offers it to Saikawa, who decides to share them with Mo in her room since she likes them a lot. Yumiko then engages in making some more cookies while the others discuss more about this case. Evidently, Mo is the most curious among them and wastes no time in asking questions about Magata. She asks Yumiko to explain what happened on the day when Magata killed her parents. Yumiko explains that when her husband got there, Magata's mother was already dead, lying on the floor. Sachiro, Magata's father, was holding her hand from behind, stating that he won't let her do this, but she ended up killing her father as well. After that, Magata started screaming like she was possessed, but then suddenly she started to laugh hysterically, again as if she was possessed. Right after that, their conversation takes a turn to Magata's various personalities. Yumiko explains that Kishio used to be Magata's twin brother, who died right after their birth. As for Sasaki Suma, she was the maid of Magata when she was in America, but she also died in an accident, leaving a great emotional scar on Magata, so much so that she couldn't stay there anymore. Lastly, her third personality of Michiru was a doll that Magata brought along with her when she came to this lab. However, they have thrown out that doll since it was fully covered in blood. Mo then apologizes to Yumiko for asking these questions so abruptly and then starts eating the cookies she just made, mentioning that they are very tasty. Simultaneously, we see a girl in a trench coat making her way through the city. Back in the lab, Yamane and others walk out with their stomachs full, deducing that Yumiko just wanted to do something, which is why she made those cookies. Yamane then asks the two if they are going to have breakfast. Saikawa quickly refuses, whereas Mo agrees. Suddenly, the computer receives a notification prompting Yamane to check it out. It is a reminder from Shimada about a writer that's supposed to come to the lab for Dr. Magata's interview. Later, Yamane brings some bread for toast for breakfast. While having breakfast, the three dive deeper into this case. Mo inquires about how the door is open from inside. Yamane explains that only Magata has the authority to open the door from inside her room. However, seeing that her arms and legs were amputated, they realize that the killer must have used Magata's hand to open the door from inside and is now roaming inside this very building, having access to every door in the lab. Later, Mo and Saikawa are just chilling alone, and Saikawa starts going off about how he gets where Magata is coming from. He says he gets why she wanted freedom so bad, like it was the only thing that made sense to her. Hell, he even thinks it's cool that she was willing to go all the way to get it. He talks about how he'd love to be free from all these boring ass faculty meetings too, like they're sucking the life out of him. Mo, being the badass she is, offers Saikawa a place to work on his research and ditch the dumb meetings, but in his usual do-gooder way, Saikawa shoots her down, saying he won't take her up on it because apparently he doesn't want her to get tied down with him. The two start bickering over whether Magata's view on freedom was right or not, but Saikawa kinda plays it safe, saying Magata did what was best for her freedom, and that's all that really matters. Saikawa then gets up like he's done with this convo, saying he's heading back to the camp. Mo, feeling like she's got nothing left to say, basically shrugs it off and tells him to do whatever, but then Saikawa throws it back at her, saying he wouldn't have even bothered if all of this didn't actually matter to him. Flashback time. Magata walks into some shady weapon shop, casually asking the shopkeeper for a knife for camping. Like, who needs a knife for camping. Anyway, we jump to a family dinner scene where Magata's uncle shows up with some flowers for her. Magata hands him a box, and inside is the knife she bought earlier. With no expression, she tells him it's a tool to free oneself. Her uncle, probably shitting himself, gets it right away. He's terrified, but also a little too thrilled by what she's hinting at. Saikawa proceeds to walk out of the lab, but gets followed by Mo. Mo tries to apologize for her behavior. However, Saikawa explains that he is only leaving because the others will be waiting for them. Mo then tries to convince Saikawa into staying, telling him that the unsolved case must be eating him from inside. But no such thing seems to be happening to Saikawa. He continues to walk, asking Mo to tell her a reason for staying that can persuade him. However, Mo doesn't seem like she has any plausible reasons. Shortly after, both of them return to the camping site and are met by Hamanaka, who was dead worried about these two. Just then, both of them quickly mention that they're going to take a nap. Hamanaka notices the angry behavior and realizes that something must have happened. Back in the lab, Yamane contacts with the rest of the members of Magata Lab and inform them about what happened last night, asking them their honest opinions in return. Mo wakes up in her tent, groggy but alert, and steps outside to find the group waiting for her. They all have that nosy look, thinking she must have confessed her feelings to Saikawa, which, in their heads, explains her weird mood. But Mo's not here for any of that crap. She just straight up mentions that 2 people are dead and that they should probably grab some drinks because, hell, it's the kind of day that calls for some alcohol to deal with all the mess. Meanwhile, Saikawa's off in his own world, thinking about the case. He's trying to put all the pieces together like some messed up puzzle. He's fixated on how the room was suspiciously spotless, like the killer had all the time in the world to clean it up. Then, there were those weird details, deflated balloons, a sewing machine, stuffed animals, and toy bricks scattered around Magata's room. Nothing about that situation was sitting right with him. Back with the group, Mo dives deeper, giving them more details. She talks about the 3 other personalities involved in this twisted mess, Kishio, Suma, and Michiru. Saikawa's mind is still churning though, because he can't shake the feeling that those comments left behind weren't written by Magata. Nah, he believes they were penned by the killer. If it were Magata writing them, that'd mean she was somehow planning her own death, and Saikawa's not buying that. Plus, those personalities wouldn't have had time to leave all those notes before everything went down. It's all adding up to one big mystery he can't crack yet. Where I live, this condition is known as schizophrenia.
Delusional, in other words, is what he is trying to say. The homegirl needs some therapy, man. Poor soul. Another thing that baffles Saikawa is that fact that he doesn't understand the meaning of those words that are mentioned in those comments. Chugging all the non-alcoholic drinks at the same time, Mo talks about the various questions that have risen in this case. The timing of Mickey arriving at the lab, the robot being made for the sole purpose of locking and unlocking the door. Along with these questions, there are many that when answered will solve this case. At the end, Mo mentions that the thing that bothers her the most is that Saikawa is totally not worried about the seriousness of this case. Just then, Saikawa is approached by Yamane, who has come up with an offer. Before he can even lay out his offer though, Saikawa understands that Yamane is there to ask him not to let out the news of Magata's death, but Saikawa quickly refuses to accept this offer. Yamane then explains that their lab has been working on a project for NASA for more than a year now, so he asks Saikawa to just keep this news to himself for a week. As for the director's death, they have decided to let the police deal with it. And as for Mickey, the board has decided to make her the new director of Magata Laboratory. Yamane then does the unthinkable and provides an envelope full of cash to keep Saikawa's mouth shut. However, he politely asks Yamane not to stoop any lower than this. Saikawa then gently asks Yamane to leave, mentioning that he will be leaving the island on the ship by tomorrow. Heading back to the camping site, Saikawa discovers that Mo is sleeping after consuming various amount of cans of non-alcoholic drink. After a while, Mo wakes up and cannot believe that it's already nighttime. Saikawa and Mo then light up a sparkler to lighten up the mood and cheer for a bit. Then, Mo tells Saikawa that she has decided not to leave the island. She even mentions that she is aware how Saikawa also wants to stay and solve this case. Saikawa tries to argue, but Mo interrupts him, stating that she wants to find out why Magata asked her about her parents, why she killed her parents, and all those questions that remain to be answered. Saikawa and Mo then break this news to Kunieda and Hamanaka, telling them that there will be a ship arriving tomorrow to pick them up. They then make their way to the lab, meeting up with Yamane. Saikawa asks Yamane to let them investigate this case, using their facility, and in exchange they will stay quiet about Magata's death. Yamane immediately shakes Saikawa's hand, and just like that, the deal is made. In the control room, Saikawa asks one of the guards to prepare a list with all the items that were sent in Magata's room in the past year. As for the second guard, Saikawa asks him to show them the footage from that unfortunate day. In that footage, Mo's sharp eyes catch something off, like how the elevator number changed when they were moving Magata's body out. Hell, that means the killer used the elevator to get around, no doubt about it. So Saikawa and Mo head straight straight into Magata's room to dig deeper. Mo's over there trying to get some answers out of the robot. Michiru, while Saikawa's mind is working overtime, he spots something strange in the bookshelf and starts putting the pieces together. He shows Mo that the number of volumes of each book in that room is 15, the same number of years Magata spent locked up in there. Now, we cut to the meat of this case, the death of Magata's parents. After she hands over that present to Shindo, her parents start freaking out over her behavior. Shindo finally gets the guts to put an end to it. But before he can do anything, Magata steps up, grabs the knife, and just stabs her mom. Damn, talk about cold. Then right after that, Shindo and Magata take down Sachiro, and Sachiro, gasping for air, tells Shindo that he won't let him get away with this shit. Yumiko's there watching, looking like she's seen a damn ghost. But the story she told Yamane, Mo, and Saikawa was all twisted, like a complete liar. Turns out, it wasn't Sachiro holding Magata from behind, it was Shindo. Back in the control room, Saikawa and Mo talk with the guard about the list he has prepared for the items that were sent in Magata's room. Saikawa asks the guard about the books and specific number of volumes that Magata always used to get, but the guard explains that they only bought everything that she asked for and not questioned any of it. From the list, the guard explains that there are old spare parts for a TV that Magata bought in April. Mo believes that the TV is already very old, so it would have been cheaper for Magata to just ask for a new one. In response, the guard explains that there is a possibility that Magata might have liked that specific TV. As for the people that have visited her, the guard explains that it has only been him, Mizutani, the programmer, and Yumiko. Saikawa then asks about Mizutani's whereabouts and leaves the control room. Along the way, they come across Shimada, who offers the two to get some time off from this case and pass some time in the recreation room. Saikawa quickly refuses to rest and asks Mo to tag along with Shimada. Saikawa then makes his way to Mizutani's room. There, he asks various questions about Magata. Mizutani starts running his mouth, saying that Magata was this total beauty with the brains when she came back from America. But after that whole mess went down, everyone just stopped giving a shit about her. Saikawa, though, doesn't hold back and asks if there's really any data worth killing over. This gets Mizutani thinking, but come on, it's Magata we're talking about. A damn genius. As far as he knows, there's no way any data could have been the reason behind all this bloodshed. As for any beef with Shindo, Mizutani mentions there was nobody who had a problem with him, at least not that anyone knows about. Then, Saikawa steps out of Mizutani's room, only to bump into Yamane, who tells him that they couldn't get Mickey's bag from the helicopter. Turns out, it's likely the killer snatched it. Saikawa, being the guy he is, suggests that they ask Mickey if there's anything important in that bag besides the damn present. Meanwhile, Shimada and Mo are off playing pool, and the dude can't stop bringing up how Mo's just 19 and doesn't stand a chance at winning Saikawa over. What a loser, seriously. He's acting all smug, like she's some idiot who doesn't know how to get what she wants. But Mo has got her own way of handling things.
Ooh, rivalry. That's exactly what I paid my money for.
I doubt your empty wallet would have allowed you to pay for anything. Simultaneously, Saikawa makes his way to Mickey's room. Back in the recreation room, Shimada gets Mo to get inside the capsule to free her thoughts. Even though Mo is unwilling to, she stands no chance in stopping Shimada from getting her in the capsule. Back in Mickey's room, Saikawa tells her that he is not going to take too much of her time. Mickey urges him to do so, and Saikawa explains that he will only be asking 3 questions. Did Mickey notice anything different with Shindo when they were together? Does Mickey have any idea who may be responsible for the deaths of both Shiki and Shindo? Does Mickey know why anyone would want to murder Shiki? However, Saikawa asks these questions in vain, as Mickey answers everything with either "I don't know" or other one-phrase answers. As their conversation progresses further, Saikawa doesn't hold back from asking Mickey how Shiki was like. This also leads Mickey to discover that Saikawa was very fascinated by Shiki's personality. Saikawa adds that he has read all the literature that was written by Shiki, but shows disappointed that he never got a chance to meet Shiki until she was dead. Mickey then judges Saikawa's personality, telling him that he looks like an emotional person himself, someone who holds back his emotions. Mickey then asks Saikawa the reason why she is so interested to know about Shiki's life. She further tells Saikawa that Shiki and he have some similar characteristics. Just then, Saikawa remembers what he came here for and tells Mickey that they lost her bag from the helicopter. Right then and there, Mickey shares a memory with Saikawa of her sister. Once, Mickey fell from the swing and started bleeding. Shiki then told her that it doesn't matter if Mickey's body get damaged, her feelings for her will never change. Mickey then tells Saikawa how she would just want to escape this unjust world, but quickly realizes that she shouldn't be thinking like this at such times. The scene then shifts to Mo inside the capsule. She is taken into a world where they can climb on buildings. She and Saikawa then begin climbing a building, floating in the sky, and just enjoy enjoying their time. Suddenly, Mo is thrown into a room covered with screens. On those screens appear Shikimo sitting there, having this deep talk with Shiki, and Shiki keeps pushing her buttons. She brings up the whole dead parents thing again, asking if Mo cried when it happened. Mo gets hit with the memory of that damn plane crash, the one where her parents and everyone else died, and she was the only one left. Shiki keeps going, asking what Mo was wearing that night, and Mo talks about that purple dress her mom gave her. That dress didn't last long though. It got stained with blood, and no matter how hard Mo scrubbed at it, the stain wouldn't come out. She tried over and over again, but the damn thing was ruined. Then Shiki says someone must have been with her when her parents died, but Mo swears she was all alone. Saikawa was always there though, trying to keep her calm while she was losing her mind. During one of those times, Mo hit his glasses by accident, causing an injury. That's when the blood stain ended up on her purple dress. Saikawa stayed by her side the whole damn time, never leaving. Then Shiki tries to mess with Mo's head, making her think she should join her side, but Mo's not falling for it. She backs off, realizing it's all too much. Next thing, she wakes up in the real world. Saikawa walks into the recreation room, but bails the second he sees the girls half naked. Mo tells him she just saw Shiki, and you can tell that shit hit Saikawa hard. Now, we jump to Shiki and her uncle Shindo. Shiki reminds him of when he tried to stop her from getting her freedom, all the way back when she killed her parents. Shindo's desperate and tells her to kill him too, but Shiki's not interested. She tells him the time will come when they'll both die, and until then, they should live with the pride of humanity. Saikawa's still trying to wrap his head around what Mo saw, asking her if she's sure it was really Shiki. Mo insists it sounded like her, no doubt about it. Just as things are getting more complicated, Shimada walks in with some tea for the two of them. Saikawa immediately shifts gears and asks Shimada where they can find these machines outside of the recreation room. Shimada explains that every worker here has one of these capsules in their rooms. If they don't feel like getting all wet and submerged in the water, they don't have to. They can just use a normal terminal to access the virtual world. That means, hell, anyone can plug into this place from anywhere in the damn facility. Shimada then brings up that she tried digging through the records to figure out who Mo was talking to, but didn't get anywhere. However, she did find a new name that got registered. Saikawa's eyes widen, and he asks her what name it was. Shimada drops the bomb. It was Michiru. Mo's thrown off because the voice she heard was totally Shiki's. Shimada's quick to tell her that's impossible, but she has no clue whose body was being used in the damn session. Still, she mentions that there are logs of Shiki's interviews and tape recordings with her voice, and someone could have easily played a prank on Mo, but damn, if that was a prank, it sure as hell was a complicated one. All of a sudden, Shimada turns to Saikawa and compliments his fingers, prompting him to reveal that no one has ever done so. Seeing that she is being too free with her thoughts, and in jealousy, Mo kicks Shimada out of the room. Right after she leaves, Saikawa tells Mo that she talked with Miki when Mo was inside the capsule. Suspicious, Mo calls out Saikawa for spending way too long with Miki. Ignoring her jealousy, Saikawa asks Mo if she thinks that Shiki and Miki resemble each other, but Mo believes that the two have a completely different air about each other. Saikawa then tells Mo that the police is going to be here when the ship arrives, and the lab will put Shiki's body back in her room. Moreover, they are going to hide the yellow door and will let Miki disguise as Shiki. Thus, they will become criminals. Mo believes that they aren't liars if they don't answer any of police's questions. Another way she suggests is by telling the truth to the police and ask them to hide the truth about Shiki's death. Mo says she's gonna ask her uncle, the head of the prefectural police, for help, but Saikawa's not even bothering to pretend he believes that's gonna work. He thinks it's a waste of time. Later, they hit the rooftop and Mo starts going all serious, calculating the distance between the floor below and the rooftop like it's some kind of mad scientist stuff. Saikawa, being the sarcastic idiot he is, starts throwing out crazy theories, saying Mo's probably overthinking it like a damn loner. The sun's about to rise, so they shuffle over to the ledge to catch the first light, just standing there for a moment, like they don't have a care in the world. Then Mo drops the real shit, apologizing to Saikawa for slapping him and hurting him when he tried to comfort her after her parents died. She's feeling all guilty and stuff, realizing she's forgotten something so important in her life. Like, damn, who does that? Since that mess went down, Saikawa's been the one checking on her, making sure she's not turning into a total mess. It's a rare moment of honesty, but the weight of it all is still there. After that, they head to see Yamani, who's just drowning in work. Mo heads for the shower while Saikawa gets stuck making breakfast. Before he starts, Yamani's all serious, telling Saikawa he's about to pull the last resort, deleting red magic once and for all. If this shit doesn't work, they're screwed with no backup plan. While they eat breakfast, Yamani finally spills that their system didn't get hit by a virus. It was a Trojan. Mo's sitting there like the biggest idiot, totally confused about what the hell that even means. She's out of the loop. loop, totally lost. So, Yamane explains that a Trojan shows itself as useful and executes all the functions properly, thus it cannot be detected by the antivirus. But during the same time, the Trojan also starts secretly destroying the host. Not only that, Yamane has decided to do a full reset of the system after shutting it down, realizing that it's a very big disadvantage that they are unable to contact with outside. But he believes that the error's cause can be investigated later. After a few hours, Saikawa wakes up and starts watching Mo secretly. Right when she starts waking up, Saikawa looks away. Mo then wakes up and expresses how she has had such a great time since she spent it with Saikawa. Looking at Saikawa, Mo realizes that he must have figured something out. Saikawa then explains that he has decided to think about the document's title, Everything Becomes F. Specifically, they want to find out what the letter F means. Ken, whatever you are thinking, it's not that.
But I wasn't thinking anything.
Yeah, right. They discuss about various theories and concludes that the killer must be referring to Shiki's all personalities with this letter F. Just then, an announcement is made that all the systems will be shut down at 11 o'clock and will turn back in approximately 10 minutes. Not long after, the lights are turned off. Scared, Mo gets closer to Saikawa and holds his hand. Saikawa then enters a vision where he sees a crowd dancing goofily. Thereafter, Shiki appears and states that 7 is the only lonely number and that she is number 7. Saikawa snaps back into reality, feeling the need for a smoke. He yanks his hand out of Mo's grip and tells her to back off. Then, he finally gets to the point, dropping the bomb on Mo that the person she met wasn't Shiki. Before he can dig into the details, the lights flicker back on, cutting him off mid-sentence. Mo, all serious now, rushes to make contact with the outside world. She calls up Suwano, giving him the rundown of everything that's gone down so far, asking him to send some help and also to call her uncle. Saikawa, being his usual self, asks if Mo wants to know more about what he's figured out. But Mo, the stubborn idiot she is, decides to take the challenge on herself and fires back that she's gonna figure it all out on her own. She's not letting him have all the answers. Then the scene shifts to the past, and we get a glimpse of Shiki's twisted history. 15 years ago, Shiki was put on trial and deemed non-compos mentis, which basically means she was declared completely off her rocker. She got sent to a juvenile center, and from there she was moved to the Magata Labs. That's where she shut herself off from the rest of the world, cut ties with everyone, and started living in isolation, creating her perfect little messed up world, just the way she liked it.
Hey guys, I know I'm interrupting the video, but I'm just here to remind you that most of you guys watching this video are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more updates in the future. Now let's get straight back into the video.
A boat arrives on the island. Giddo, the journalist girl from way earlier, gets out from it, but she seems like she is on the verge of throwing up, probably because of the seasickness. She then comes across Saikawa's students and asks them how long away is the way to Magata Labs. The dumb wife from earlier tells Giddo that the lab is 30 minutes away, but warns her that there has been an incident. Back in the lab, Shibaki from the Aichi Prefectural Police arrives with his squadron and introduces himself to Saikawa and Mo. He reveals that he has heard the basic details and Saikawa if he can show him around. Inside the elevator, Shibaki warns Mo not to wander around, mentioning that he has been asked by her uncle to make sure that she is safe. Later, Mo video calls her uncle and requests her to hide about the death of Shiki. At first, the uncle tells her that it is impossible for him to do so, but when Mo insists, the uncle agrees to visit the lab and talk with the authority there, and ask them about all the details regarding this case. Ending the call, Mo looks over at Saikawa, wondering if he is okay with it. But Saikawa assures Mo that he is firm in his decision of wanting to tell the truth to the police, even though he is aware that he will be breaking his promise with Yamane. Then, a montage is shown of police investigating the lab completely. Saikawa then makes his way to Yamane and apologizes to him for not keeping his promise. But Yamane tells him that it's fine, realizing that he shouldn't have made such a request. Soon enough, Deborah informs Saikawa that Shibake wants to talk. Mo's eyes go wide, totally caught off guard, and she's shocked to learn that Deborah's back online. Yamane quickly explains that resetting red magic brought Deborah back to life, like some messed up tech zombie. Saikawa, acting like he's got all the time in the world, tells Mo he has to go and deal with Shibake, leaving her alone to stew in her own thoughts. Mo, still not over the chaos, heads to Shimada's room. What does she find there? Giddo, that annoying piece of work, just hanging around. As soon as Mo sees her, she's pissed off, like really pissed. But Mo, being the sneaky one, throws some fake tantrums, making sure to keep it all innocent. Giddo doesn't catch on right away, but Mo just knows how to push her buttons. Finally, Mo gets the upper hand, laughing it up when she drops the bomb about running into Saikawa's student students when she left the shop. But wait, it gets better. Mo throws in that Saikawa totally told her he came here alone. That's when Guido, the nosy one, adds that Saikawa's always in Tokyo and always at her place. Now, Mo's seeing red, jealous as hell, and storms out of the room like a hurricane, heading straight for the rooftop to cool off. But Saikawa, like a ghost, follows her up there, all casual like he's been searching for her forever. He lets her know he's been checking out the security footage, looking for anything that's off. He tells her how he ran a script to find discrepancies in the footage. Before he can go on, Mo, all sharp-eyed, pieces it together and totally gets why Saikawa ran that script. Saikawa's a bit impressed by her quick thinking, but still explains that he couldn't find any missing footage. What's more is that Saikawa even looked for copies and dummies, but there weren't any of that either. Saikawa then slowly begins hinting toward what he thinks happened. However, Mo slowly catches up to him. She then continues by explaining that 15 years ago, Shiki was alone and entered the room as well, but the killer was already there and entered the room with Shiki. Right then and there, Mo realizes that she has cracked the code and has figured out most of the case. Mo believes that during that time, Shiki must have been pregnant when she entered the room. Later, the baby grew up and ended up killing its own mother.
That sounds like the most absurd explanation I have ever heard.
And that's exactly why you aren't a detective.
Mo isn't one either.
She also thinks that the robot existed in the room because there was always someone inside who was locking the door. But that person wasn't Shiki, rather her child. That also explains why the toys were there in that bedroom. Mo then connects her parents' death with Shiki's and understands that Saikawa has always been with her, whereas for Shiki, she was all alone, giving birth to a child. That child later grew up, killed her own mother, and amputated her arms to use the right hand to move around the facility. However, Saikawa tells Mo that this is not enough. He explains that until they cannot find how the killer got out, they cannot blame anyone. Moreover, he also tells Mo that Shiki gave birth to a girl. This prompts Mo to realize that Saikawa knows something that she doesn't. She then shows determination and tells Saikawa that they are going to solve this case in under 30 minutes from now. During their conversation of time, Saikawa figures out how the killer got out. He quickly heads to the control room and asks Hasebi, the guard, about the clocks and how they are connected. After running the script back for today's recordings, Saikawa discovers that there has been a missing minute of footage from their data. What happened is that the killer must have pushed the time back by 1 minute, and since all the computers in the lab are synced together, that was the time that they started perceiving until now. However, earlier, when the system was reset, the clocks were reset as well, prompting them to go back to their original time. So, the camera actually recorded 12 o'clock twice, but since two files with the same name cannot be saved at once, the newer recording overwrote the previous one. Saikawa then quickly heads to Shimada's room, asking her to pull the variables that call the time. Just then, Shimada recalls that there was an if statement that she thought was weird. She then checks it, and after Mo's astonishingly difficult calculations, they discover that the system call is getting the time. In simpler terms, the system was getting time, which is calculated by integers. Since integers are 2 bytes, Saikawa throws a complex calculation Mo's way. Without breaking a sweat, Mo nails it. February 10th, 4 a.m., 7 years ago. That's when Red Magic's version 4 went online. Not long after, Mo's uncle shows up at the lab, probably thinking he's in for a chill meeting. Saikawa isn't wasting any time though. He straight up tells him he wants to show how the murder went down. Then, in true badass fashion, Saikawa drops the bomb. He knows who the real killer is. He pulls out his phone, dials, and the entire room goes dead quiet. To everyone's shock, he greets none other than Magata Shiki. Saikawa starts talking to Shiki, using her name like he's been chatting with her for ages, catching everyone off guard. Mo, being the skeptic she is, straight up says Shiki isn't who she claims to be. Shiki, being the twisted weirdo she is, says she'd love to see both Mo and Saikawa. Saikawa, with that cocky grin of his, asks if they should come meet her at her place. But nope, Shiki wants them to meet somewhere more personal, probably for her sick amusement. They head to the capsule. Saikawa just stares at Mo like a damn weirdo, watching her get in and then copying her moves like some creepy shadow. Then, out of nowhere, Mo asks Saikawa to open his eyes, even though she knows damn well he's way too pumped to meet Shiki. Saikawa, being the sarcastic idiot he is, throws back a question about hearing something similar when Mo first tested this machine. Mo thinks it's just some act the killer's putting on, pretending to be Shiki to mess with their heads. Right then, Shimada walks in and slams the capsule door shut. Outside, Shibaike and his squad are practically losing their shit, waiting for something to happen, but Mo's uncle's staying chill. Shibaki and the others want to know what's going on in there, but the lab team backs up Shiki's request, saying they gotta meet the killer's demands if they don't want any more bloodshed. Mo's uncle uncle, still calm, tells Shibiki to hold it together and promises he'll make the final call. For now, they're just gonna sit tight and wait for the confession. Back in the virtual world, Mo is placed in a sort of an investigation room, while on the other hand, Saikawa is placed on a wooden platform in the middle of the ocean. There, Shiki asks Mo if she told Saikawa about the number 7 being lonely and about the letters B and D. Mo answers that she did tell him about the number 7, but didn't bother mentioning about the latter since she didn't fully understood what it meant. But Saikawa clearly understands and states that he would have solved this case an hour earlier if he knew it then. Saikawa then decides to start questioning Shiki. The first thing he asks her is if she is the one who killed those 2 people. Shiki wastes no time in confessing that she did. Now that the main question is out of the way, Saikawa decided to ask about the phrase, "everything becomes F." Saikawa seems to have figured out that as well. He knows that the letter F means 15. He then points out how he has noticed that there are 15 volumes of each book in Shiki's room. After that, Saikawa mentions about Shiki's daughter and how she taught her just till the age of 15. Shiki believes that 15 is the most a human can live. Mo then interrupts, telling Saikawa that this isn't Shiki that he is talking to, but Saikawa tells Mo that the one she met when she first entered the machine was not Shiki, but her daughter. Saikawa has realized that Shiki actually taught her daughter to kill her and take her identity. What happened was, Shiki brainwashed her child into thinking that the only way humans live their life is by killing their parents and living until the age of 15. That's the only way her daughter has believed that the humans exist. But Shiki tells Saikawa that he hasn't explained everything. Saikawa then begins explaining about how hexadecimals work. It appears that Shiki has been planning this for a minimum of 7 years. Shiki finally admits she's been the Trojan horse all along, but Mo's still sitting there, totally confused, trying to make sense of it. Saikawa, not missing a beat, tells Mo to remember what a Trojan horse even means. He then lays it out. Red magic didn't just screw up out of nowhere, it was programmed to fail, to block the door from opening right when the killer was ready to bail. So, the real mastermind behind all these murders wasn't some random hacker or virus. It was the person who coded red magic, and that person is none other than Magata Shiki herself. Shiki, not even fazed, tells Saikawa she's impressed with his detective skills, but then she goes off about how he's missing the point. Why didn't she erase all traces of the Trojan horse? Well, Shiki's twisted logic is that she wanted someone like Saikawa to figure it out, someone who would actually care to look deep enough. Meanwhile, Mo can't take the whole thing seriously. She's not buying Shiki's crap and asks again who the hell she really is. Shiki gives her a straight-up answer saying she's the doctor, but Mo's not buying any of it. She's done with Shiki's mind games. Then Shiki just casually admits she killed her parents because they couldn't accept the kid she had with her uncle. She shrugs it off like it's no big deal, acting like no one told her it was wrong to have a child with her own uncle.
I don't think parents need to teach their children that.
Something's clearly wrong with her. Sad part is that people with this mentality really exists in the real world. Mo continues with her completely wrong assumption and tells Shiki that she is the actual daughter of Dr. Shiki, who asked her to get rid of her in an attempt to purify herself for killing her parents. But Shiki tells Mo that she is way off the real explanation. Saikawa then jumps in the conversation and tells Mo that he thought of this at first also, but he mentions that the logic of Shiki asking her daughter to cut off her legs is not there, since Shiki never taught that to her child. Saikawa seems to have cracked the case all by himself. He then reveals exactly what happened. In actuality, Shiki is the real killer. At first, Shiki's daughter was going to kill Shiki until she met Mo during that interview. When Mo asks Shiki's daughter who she was, she began to question exactly that. Since she wasn't a genius like Shiki, she didn't have much to hold on to Shiki's teachings. It was very easy for Shiki's daughter to change her mind, which is why she wanted to be free. Mo deduces that Shiki's daughter must have killed Shiki to be free, but Saikawa explains that this is not the only way she can be free. She can also wish to die herself to be free of this unjust world. Saikawa has even understood that Shiki cut off her daughter's arms to hide her identity and her legs so her actions won't be so obvious. She then took the elevator, went to the rooftop, and ended Shindo's life there. Shiki then gets up from her chair and tells Saikawa that she isn't interested in the materialistic world. She further asks Saikawa if he would like to stay with her. Just then, Shiki disappears and Mo wakes up. Back in the virtual world, Shiki and Saikawa bond with each other a bit, and at last, Shiki lets Saikawa go back into the real world. Before that, Saikawa messes up during their conversation and is thrown into the ocean. Shiki jumps along with him and asks about the thing that he wants the most right now. In response, Saikawa tells her that he would like to have a smoke. When questioned why, Saikawa explains that he wants a smoke only because it is impossible to light a cigarette underwater. Waking up, Saikawa heads straight to the meeting room. There, Yamane reveals that the system switched to a different mode at one point recently, prompting Saikawa to believe that it was done by the doctor intentionally. Saikawa then turns to Gido and asks about the two women that she saw when she got off the ship. One of them was Kunieda, whereas the other, Saikawa believes, was Shiki. Making his way into the hallway, Saikawa sees a portrait with a phrase written, "See you again," followed by his name. There, he realizes that Miki was never a person. Instead, it was all Shiki. We are then shown Shindo meeting with Shiki on the rooftop, knowing that she's going to kill him, but he expresses that he enjoyed every bit of the life that he was allowed to live. At last, Shiki stabs him. Suwano tells Mo that it's time for her to go. Later at the cafe, Kunieda confronts Mo for not visiting Saikawa's office. Mo explains that she has been contacted by the police and asked not to see Saikawa, but Kunieda catches her bluff. Mo then gives the real explanation, stating that she doesn't believe that Saikawa needs her. In response, Kunieda decides to give her opinion and tells Mo that Saikawa is probably the only person that thinks so much about her. This puts Mo in a state of wonder. Meanwhile, Saikawa is in a library reading a book. In of the Isles, Shiki unexpectedly arrived, greeting Saikawa. Since she's being hunted by the police, she asks Saikawa to take the conversation somewhere private. There, Saikawa asks Shiki why she did all this. Shiki explains that she only did it to go outside. In other words, she did it for her freedom. Shiki then asks for a smoke, and after taking a hit, questioning Saikawa why he inhales a thing that's clearly deadly to him. In response, Saikawa states that he doesn't know either. After that, Saikawa questions Shiki why she decided to visit him. She explains that the only reason she came to see him is because he gave an answer inside the ocean that she wasn't expecting. Shiki then tells Saikawa that they are both very much alike. The only difference that they have is the time. This lightens the mood between the two a bit, and the conversation gets a bit wholesome. Shiki then gets up, mentioning that someone is waiting for her, so she begins to bid Saikawa farewell. He then walks up to inquire who is it that's waiting for Shiki. Shiki casually drops that her security guards are waiting for her, like it's just some normal bullshit. Then she starts rambling about how she was planning to make Saikawa kiss her, but now she's figured out he's not the type to fall for that shit. She asks him if he'd kiss Mo instead, but Saikawa tells her to mind her own damn business. They start talking about life, and Saikawa says that sometimes the dumbest, most pointless jokes can save someone's ass. Mo's living proof of that, but Shiki, she's too much of an idiot to understand the bond between him and Mo. After that, they finish their pointless chat, and Shiki decides to turn herself in. Saikawa heads back to his lab, and of course, Mo shows up with cake rolls for him, like she's some kind of fucking maid. She starts making coffee for them and says she's out of here once they're done. During their chat, Mo casually mentions that the cops finally tracked Shiki down in Tokyo, and they're sending officers to catch her. Saikawa, totally confused, asks about his damn security guards, only to realize they've vanished, and that's when it hits him. He's been fucking played. Shiki tricked him again, and now he's pissed off. The two start talking about how Shiki managed to pull all this off, but Mo can't for the life of her understand why Shindo would just let himself die like that. Saikawa thinks it's because love made him do it. Mo, she thinks it's the dumbest fucking way to show love. The conversation shifts, and Mo drops that Shiki just wants to be free, and Saikawa admits that he wants the same shit. That's when Mo completely loses it. She gets more pissed with every word as Saikawa keeps acting like he's not the reason she's admiring that psychotic bitch Shiki. Finally, Mo snaps and goes to slap him, but Saikawa just shrugs it off, telling her it doesn't matter. Even if she slaps the shit out of him, he's not going anywhere.
I don't think Mo realizes, but slapping isn't exactly the best way to express love either.
Poor girl just wanted some affection from Saikawa. Guess she is not gonna get it ever. He then begins telling Mo a story about her father. When Saikawa was his student, Nishino Sono would come in class, ask all the students to read the first chapter, and would end his class. The next day, he would ask the students if they have any questions about the first chapter. But when none of them asked any questions, Nishino Sono moved on to the next chapter and asked the students to read the second chapter. This time, Saikawa read passionately and manages to gather a question. Nishino Sono spends the next 4 weeks answering Saikawa's question. That's the type of teacher he was, but sadly Saikawa believes that teachers like Nishino Sono are not found anywhere anymore. He then recalls how he met with Mo 10 years ago and found out the secret about her magic trick. Later in the church, Mo asks Saikawa if he is this open with Gido as well. This is when Mo finds out that Gido is actually Saikawa's sister. Later, Shiki tells her mother that humans need to ocean more than the moon. Thereafter, her mother explains that when the humans seek answers, that's what make them kind. Shiki believes that if she keeps seeking answers from her mother, she will end up being kind as well. Toward the end, Shiki sits on a chair on the seashore, engaged in a conversation with her various personalities. One of those personalities is of Michiru, who apparently has grown up a lot. And that's a wrap, guys! What a crazy emotional ride. Shiki got her freedom, and Saikawa's still cracking jokes at Mo. Gito, turns out she's Saikawa's sister, making it a big slap in the face to those rooting for Mo. But hey, the story's over, but more are coming.
And that was the ending. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.
See you next time!